Okay,
Hi.
great. Hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mindful Moments, where we discuss topics to help you practice mindfulness and live a more balanced life. We're your hosts. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Heather. And today we're going to talk about resilience.
Speaking of which, you can tell Heather is sick today, so we'll just see how this goes. Thank you, Heather, for being resilient and just showing
Uh,
up.
I'm pretty sick, guys. But don't worry, it is not the COVID. I'm tested a lot for the COVID. It's just an annoying, stupid flu. Who knew? So,
Right? Still can get normal sick. It sucks, but there it is.
but here we
Okay,
are, being resilient.
here we are, being resilient. Okay, so we're going to start. We'll just define what resilience is, talk about why it's important. We'll tell you some stories about our resilience and how we've cultivated that, and then we'll end with a little meditation that can help you hopefully develop some cultivation. It's a loving kindness for yourself meditation. So let's get started.
That's a really good one, by the way.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, maybe I don't feel like such a piece of crud. It's nice.
Exactly. It is nice. That's the goal anyway. And that's what we're going for with when we're talking about resilience, because resilience really is about it's the capacity to recover from difficult events, from when you have challenges. It's when you recover. You remember that song by Chumbawamba where I get knocked down and I get up again? That's
Why
the
did you do that?
it's in
Why?
your head
It's
forever
now
now.
in my head. I've worked since what, the 90s to get this stupid song. I get knocked down and I get up again. Blah blah blah
I
blah.
know. It is but it's the resilience theme song. That's what is resilience is about. So it's about like getting knocked down and getting back up again. And what does it take to get back up again? And that's more difficult for some people than for others. But this is something that I think is important, that resilience is not a fixed trait. It's not that you have resilience or you don't have resilience. You can practice resilience. You can become more resilient. And this is particularly important for people who have been knocked down, because when you're in that moment and you're knocked down, you don't always feel like you can get back up again, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, resilience is super important. I mean, we all face all kinds of adversity in life, like, and I want to be really clear that this is not a competition. It's not a, oh well, they did it, why can't you? You can. I mean, my sister and I the same exact upbringing, and yet our resilience is different depending on a variety of factors. But it's really important that there are personal crises such as illness, loss of a loved one, or tragic events, news, terrorist attacks, COVID-19, loss of jobs, unemployment, the economy, the election, everything else that's going on in the world. Basically, we just look at 2020, right? And we have to learn how to cope and move on, right? Because life is gonna keep going. So resilience is what. So sorry, gives people the emotional strength to cope with trauma, adversity, and the crap that comes with life. So,
Absolutely true.
people that are resilient, they to the Chumbawamba song, which I'm really pissed off about, by the way. Um, People that engage in resiliency, they have these setbacks, they have these emotional difficulties, they have these challenges, but they work through the problems. Resiliency empowers us to accept and adapt to situations and move forward.
Yeah, that's true. And there are several characteristics of people who are considered resilient. Resilient people, they do several things that allow them to become more resilient. One, they practice gratitude. So they are looking for things to be grateful for. They have a more grateful kind of outlook. They're able to see more kind of positivity. They regularly practice compassion, where they can see compassion for themselves and compassion for others, which allows them to kind of get back up and not take everything so personally. They regularly practice acceptance, which I talked a little bit before about this connotation with acceptance as being approval, but really it's about acknowledging that this is the way that things are, even if they're crappy, so that they can see ways to get through it. They also, people who are more resilient feel like their life has meaning, that they are doing something that is important. And that's something that we're going to talk about too. And then finally, people who are more resilient tend to practice more forgiveness. So when something goes wrong, when they get hurt, they are more likely to forgive people that have hurt them. We're going to talk a little bit about all of these, but first we wanted to share a little bit about our resilience and stories that we have had that have helped us to practice resilience. Really, those times that we got knocked down. Do you want to go first, Heather?
Yeah, sure. So, a lot of people that know me personally, I had a really difficult marriage. I was married to he was a very abusive man, and I stayed for too long, as most people do in abusive marriages. And when I finally did leave, literally with just the clothes on my back and my kids' back, and drove across the country. I mean, it's an after school special. Um, it took me a really long time. I mean, I look at back at in a bit of a shameful way, because I look at myself and I say, you should have known better. You should have been faster. But that's not how resiliency works. I wasn't ready. I was dealing with learning how to be a single mom, learning, how to deal with the trauma that I had experienced, trying to help my kids cope with the trauma they had experienced, trying to help my kids cope with divorce. There were so many things that I was trying to deal with. It just took me a lot longer to bounce back. But what I've discovered is it's a lot like growing a tree. It starts from a little seed, and it's deep, deep inside. And you don't know anything is happening. You don't know that it's there. Sometimes when you're really quiet, you feel it there, but it's a little baby, right? And it needs to grow and be stronger in order to be able to support the weight, your own weight, right? So then that tree starts to grow inside, and all of a sudden you're like, I feel I I can try this one thing. And you do. And that's kind of how resiliency for me in my journey really helped me, is that I look back in the moment. I couldn't recognize any of that. In the moment, I was beating myself up. I was constantly like, why aren't you doing better? What is wrong with you? And that's really, I was doing that self-flagellation, feeding that wolf. And now that I can look back, I've gone through this horrible experience where I was able to recover. I can look back and realize that's the journey of resiliency, of being able to bounce back. And now I can utilize that journey in smaller slices and nuggets with smaller issues. So I don't have to wait, I don't know, 15 years to get through it. So that was my journey.
Yeah. Well, and I've also had difficult relationships, but I'm actually going to share about graduate school. So, I have colleagues who said that graduate school was the best time for them. They got to focus on things that they really loved, and it was like this wonderful blossoming journey. That was not my journey in graduate school. When I was getting my PhD, it just sucked most of the time. I mean, I loved the ideas, I loved the work that I was doing and all of that kind of stuff, but it was really hard. And part of this was that I got my bachelor's degree in art and women's studies, and then I went into a PhD program in sociology. So I went from the humanities to the social sciences, which is different ways of thinking. So I already felt like they had made a mistake in letting me in, and that I didn't belong, and I just felt stupid all of the time, which is not like a place where I live. Usually I don't feel stupid. I usually feel like I can do things, I know things. But in graduate school, it just felt like I was getting knocked down all the time. I remember there was this one time in theory class where this professor, every time any of us would say like, oh, this is what this theory is saying, this is what we're explaining, he'd go, not exactly. Just like, well, then what is it? I just felt really stupid all of the time. And then there's all these like stupid requirements for graduate school, hoops that you have to jump through. And actually, during graduate school, there were so many times I just wanted to give up. But I think that, and maybe this is another characteristic of resilient people, I am too stubborn to give up. Actually, um, my mantra in graduate school was "F you, you can't make me quit." And that was my go-to. That was like they'd throw another hoop at me, they'd feel stupid, and I'd be like, "Yeah, F you, you can't make me quit. I'm going to do this anyway." And that's what helped me get back up again. Every time they would knock me down, I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, do it again. Try it again, because here I come again." And that's been like my attitude with most things. Like I just, when I applied for a bazillion, gazillion, quadrillion jobs, I was looking for jobs everywhere, applying, rejected, 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 crickets, crickets, crickets. And every time I was like, yeah, well, I'm going to do it again. And until I was like, okay, this path that I was taking wasn't working. So then I had to readjust. So that's another thing, is figuring out when you are being too stubborn to keep going, to realize like, okay, actually this isn't working, right? So part of resilience is like trying again, just try again over and over again. But part of resilience is also like, this isn't working. This isn't working. I need to try something else. So that's kind of that's the story that I'm sharing. And that's part of when I get knocked down, to help me get up again, I have my grad school mantra in my head, and it's "F you, you can't make me quit." That's what works for me.
I like that, actually.
So
I think that's you should get a tattoo. Oh, you don't like words.
I don't like words.
I'll totally get that tattooed on me. I love that.
No, I'd get a symbol. Maybe I'll get a symbol that symbolizes that for me.
Put a middle finger.
Too graphic, not for me. Like I do flowers. See, we can do flowers. Flowers are pretty. Okay. Anyway, so we wanted to go over like several things that you can do to help build resilience. The American Psychological Association gave several recommendations about things that could help you build resilience. Do you want to kick us off? Are you okay?
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing that you can do, and in my opinion, is connection. So the reason I think so prioritizing your relationship, connecting with somebody who's empathetic and understanding, and that can help remind you that you're not alone. But for me, it helps combat that voice inside your head that can be really mean and can be really cruel, and doesn't benefit you and help you in any way. So when you get an outsider that's like, why are you thinking that way? That's not true. And then you're like, wait, it's not true, really? Because you're able to see it with a different perspective. So that really helps with resilience, because sometimes it's that little lifeline that you need to help you pull out, because when you experience really difficult times, I know that my go-to is to isolate, is to really just kind of be like, I'm just going to go be alone. I'm always the strong one. I'm always the one that people go to for support and help, especially for empathetic support and help. And so I find it really hard to then turn around and then go to them for support and help, which of course is insane. It's ridiculous. Of course I should be able to go to them, but that's just my own stupid stuff in my head. But for me, if I isolate, then I'll just deal with my own stuff on my own, which contributed to why it took so long for me to kind of engage in resiliency. I'm less like that now. I'm more inclined to wallow in self-pity for a day or so and then reach out to somebody. But it's not years, right? So it's about having connection. So it's hard sometimes when you don't have that connection. Join a group, find a meetup, find a Zoom meeting. Now there's more and more opportunities to connect that you wouldn't have to actually leave your house, which is kind of nice. You can go to a 12-step meeting of variety. I went to Al-Anon. Some people go to, CODA, which is Codependency Anonymous and stuff, which can be great or not if it's not where you're at. But it's just something for you to find that human connection gets you out of your head, which is important.
Yep, for sure. The APA also recommends focusing on your wellness, and this is both your physical wellness and your kind of mental, emotional wellness. So the whole self-care thing has become a little bit of a buzzword where everybody's like, oh, you got to focus on self-care, and it can be a little bit difficult, but to figure out what they mean by that. So there are some things that you should really think about, and one is your physical health. So the nutrition that you're putting into your body, the amount of sleep that you're you're getting, the how you're taking care of your physical body. This is not a strength for me. This is something that I have to actually practice to really focus on being physically healthy. But it makes a big difference, because if your body is working properly, it's easier for you to recover from, negative events. The other has to do with kind of mindset. So this is about what you feed your mind. So avoiding negative outlets and embracing kind of healthy thoughts can really help. In the course that we're building, actually, we have this unit that we call a consumption audit, where we have people think about what is it that you are consuming, both physically and mentally and visually and auditorily. So like your social media, are you doing the death scrolling kind of thing? Are you feeding yourself all these negative feelings? Are you feeding yourself all this social comparison that makes you feel worse about yourself? Or are you feeding yourself things that feel wholesome and uplifting and allow you to kind of reframe? Because the truth is, the more we do something, the more we see something, the more it conditions our mind to do or be that thing. So the more, negativity that we bring in, the more conditioned we are to negativity. So one of the ways to become more resilient is to practice good physical care, but also practice consuming things that nourish us, that make us feel better about the world, that give us a little lens of positivity.
Yeah, no, and that's really true. My life changed when I changed my social media, honest to goodness. I follow a lot of things that have positivity, that have, really kind of helped you through that. And it's whenever I'm feeling bad, I'll scroll through my Instagram and I guarantee you I'll find something that makes me feel much better. So it really does work. Another thing that the APA says is find purpose, and give your life meaning to move towards your goals, right? In my line of work, I can't tell you how many people come into my office and just wonder, what are they there for? What is their purpose in life? A lot of people struggle to find what their purpose is. Why are they here? Whether it's in a job or whether it's just in life, it's that existential crisis that we have. But figuring out what's really important to you, I mean, I've had people that are like, I really wish I could work with animals. And I was like, why don't you volunteer to be a dog walker at a pound? Why don't there are ways that you can connect with what you feel special. And you never know when that will lead to something where that can actually be your sustenance. That could actually be how you make a living. I know people that they started in strange places and now they run animal sanctuaries, So you never know where it's going to come from. But finding what's really important to you. Is it art? Is it science? Is it music? Is it, helping people? Is it fill in the blank where you're happy with? And then find a way to volunteer like that. If you're passionate about reading, find a way to volunteer. My goodness, there are reading programs at elementary schools all across the United States. You just have to sit there and read a book to kids. It's amazing. So there are ways for you to find that meaning in your life, even if it isn't in your professional life. And you'd be surprised at how that might actually help you evolve in other ways and move towards goals. Because people that find that they don't know where they're at and they're like, I don't know where my meaning is, I don't know where anything is. You got to start with the one thing. What do you think is really important to you? And then take a step towards something. If that's volunteering, I'm going to give you an example, and then figure out a goal. So let me give you a goal link. I love, reading and literacy. It's really important to me. Okay. I'm going to volunteer reading to kids. Volunteer reading to kids. You read these, kids' books, and then you realize I have a book inside of me. And then you create a goal. You want to write a children's novel, and then you continue to do your volunteer work and you write your children's novel, right? But doesn't that give you meaning? Hasn't that just, it doesn't matter what you're doing in your day job. It still is giving you that meaning. And that, I'm telling you, man, that gives you resilience. Like that helps you bounce back. Not going to go into the Chumbawamba again.
That's all right. We've done enough of that one. And then, of course, because this is mindful moments, the APA also recommends practicing mindfulness and actually looking for other opportunities for self-discovery. So there's meditation practice, of course, and we're gonna do one in just a moment. There's other ways cultivating mindfulness of just being more aware of what you're doing and why you're doing whatever it is. So this could be like journaling. There could be other kinds of spiritual practices, opportunities that allow you to kind of get in touch with yourself and then to figure out what's going on with you. Mindfulness and meditation helps you do that because it allows you to kind of calm down for a minute, to take a step back and look at kind of the emotions that are coming up. And you can build more resilience when you can step back from your emotions, and then you can figure out how you kind of flow through them. So we're going to close with a brief meditation, the loving kindness for yourself meditation. And this is a meditation where we start with thinking about somebody that you love, and then we send loving kindness to them because that kind of primes the pump. Particularly if you're in a not good place, it's often helpful to start by thinking about somebody that you already love and then sending them loving kindness. And then once you've generated that, then you can send some to yourself. And that developing loving kindness for yourself is what can help you become resilient if you're trying to flow through a difficult time. So let's get started. To get started, settle into this moment. So allow yourself to let go of whatever distractions are going on. This is going to be brief. Feel where you are in space. So pay attention to what it feels like where you're sitting. Take a moment to pay attention to your breath. So you can start by taking a slow breath in, paying attention to as your chest expands, as your belly expands, just being with your breath for a moment, and then allowing yourself to relax as you exhale. Take another breath in, just relax, be here, expand your chest, and then exhale, relax. Here you are. So close your eyes if that feels right to you, and think of a person who loves you very much. This can be someone who's currently in your life or someone who's passed away. It can be a friend, a family member, a cherished teacher. Imagine this person standing on your right side, looking at you with love in their eyes. They want you to be well. They want you to be happy. They are sending you good wishes for your health, for your safety, for your well-being. Feel the warmth and kindness and love coming from this person that you love, who loves you. Accept their good wishes. Feel their love for you. Stay in this moment for a few breaths. And as you feel the love and affection coming from this person, note the physical sensations in your body. So where in your body do you feel loved? Now, take a moment to think of all the people who love you and care about you, or who have loved you and cared about you throughout your life. Imagine these cherished people surrounding you. They create a protective and loving enclosure around you. All these people love you. Look around the circle and notice them sending you love and affection. They all want you to be safe. They want you to be happy. They want you to be healthy, courageous, loved. They want others to see you the way they do, perfectly imperfect. Now bask in the love you feel. Breathe in the love they're sending. Feel the warmth of the caring coming from these people. You are surrounded and filled and overflowing with love, kindness, affection. Notice those sensations in your body as you're bathed in love and caring. Now, holding that feeling, silently repeat to yourself a phrase that feels right to you, such as, "May I be happy and content, free from anger, fear, and anxiety." May I be safe, free from injury, and protected from harm. May I be healthy, peaceful, strong, and courageous. May I give and receive appreciation today. Sitting with those statements, wishing yourself well, breathe in your own affection for yourself. Feel it filling your body with each in-breath and relaxing as you exhale. And now we'll close with one final breath. So take a breath in to seal in all of these feelings of affection, and exhale, feeling relaxed, content, full of loving energy. So that's it.
That was great.
Great. So that's all we have for you. Hopefully you can take some of this and practice building more resilience, flowing through the difficult times to get to the good time that's just on the other side. Thanks for
You
checking
got
in.
this.
Yep.
Even without Chumbawamba.
See you next